This is Christopher Complex. You've reached the Phoenix Fly Sessions show. Today we're going to talk about something. Every show is dear to my heart. You know, in the last couple of times that I've podcasted, the developments of things are just, it's really cool how the universe, how the Most High works, how God works, Buddha, all of that, Allah, all of that. And when you know the history of all these things, it's really, really, really cool how this stuff all works, how it all comes to pass, how it all just makes itself right. So if you have a thought, and let's say I got a new thought, and this thought is going to be what this show is about. So let's just go from there. Here's the thought. Don't worry, work. Don't worry, work. I'm going to say it again. Don't worry, work. So I'm a person that had anxiety. Sometimes I still have it a little bit. Man, very little. And I can tell you right now, man, I've been through some crazy stuff. I thought I had heart attacks. I'm going to tell you this quick story. I remember, man, I was having anxiety. So I was doing this exercise program. And, it was an intense program, very, cardio, full body program, great program, just having fun with it. And I was worried about what? Bills, like we all do. No one wants to be a loser. We always want to make sure we're on time with our bills. Things like that. Hey, this whole country is either going through foreclosure, behind on bills, over too much debt. There's a reason why they call it the 0.5%. It's not even the 1% anymore. It's the 0.5. It's the reason why it's not even 80-20. It's 95-5. There are tons of people in America that are not doing that great, or just behind, or just barely making it, hand to mouth, check to check. So I was worried about bills. And when you have a wife and kids, man, that's what you worry about. If you love your wife and your children, and you worry about your bills and stuff like that. So I was doing this exercise program. It was a summer day. I was, trying to lose weight, trying to get shape, trying to get fit. And I said, you know what? I'm starting to worry. Let me do this exercise program. Funny thing is, you could be doing an exercise program and you still worry. So as I finished this 30-minute program, I sat down and I started to feel my chest, and I was like, what the hell is that? And it was just like beating, and it wasn't acting funny, and I just forgot to, I guess I forgot to breathe. I forgot to be present. I know some of you may not have heard of that, but being present, I should have been present in the exercise program. I should have been present in finishing the exercise program, because some people just don't even do an exercise program. I should have been present in enjoying the summer weather. But nope, in the back of my mind, I was worried about bills. I was worried. And so I jumped in my hoopty and I ran or drove to the hospital. And the closer I got to the hospital, I started to think that, wait a minute, nah, not this way. I can't go out like this. There's some bullshit. I don't want to go out like this. My mom's not burying me. The hell with that. That's not happening. Not today. But I've never experienced anxiety and shallow breathing. And anxiety can bring on shallow breathing. If you never heard of a shallow breathing, you got to check that out, because most of us are shallow breathing, and shallow breathing is no joke. So anyway, I got to the hospital and I just said, you know what? My chest ain't feeling right. Now, I'm a Boy Scout. I was taught for first aid, and I know that when you are having chest pains, you don't play with that. And I just drove up. I live in New York. New York is chronic, easy. They have no problem taking your darn car and towing your car, especially in front of a hospital. And I said, you know what? The hell with this. If I'm getting ready to go, they can take the damn car. I took the car, parked that sucker as best as I possibly could, ran into the emergency room, told the people I had chest pains. Now, funny thing is, when I ran from the car to the emergency room front desk. Something was happening. I was running. Running means I was getting some oxygen. And that little bit of oxygen helped me stop shallow breathing. Now, shallow breathing is caused from worry. And so I said, you know what? Check this out, man. My chest hurt and I don't feel too good, and I need somebody to check it out. Now, hospitals don't play with that. So they got me, they got my name and they ran me in and they told me to sit down. And I'm, over here saying, oh, well, shoot, if my heart is getting ready to go, why is it that I could just easily sit down? And I didn't realize that I had that oxygen, that little bit of oxygen. So I sat down, they plugged me up to all them little wires, the EKG machine. And I can tell by the body language of the nurse or the practitioner or the guy that was in charge of me or whatever, the guy that was doing the EKG, ain't wasn't shit wrong with me. I was just freaking out. So, long story short, doctor comes in, says, what's wrong with you? I said, I don't know, man. My chest started hurting. I just did an exercise program. And he's looking at me like, you just did an exercise program. Okay, that, can kind of cause problems in extreme cases, I guess. But, okay. So, guess what, buddy? Nothing's wrong with you. Your heart's fine. I think you were right, because I told him I think maybe it's an anxiety. He says, I think you had an anxiety attack, and those things can feel like heart attacks if you don't know what a heart attack feels like. You would think you're having a heart attack. And all of that was caused because of worry. Man, I worried about those bills. By the way, them damn bills still ain't paid. I know that sounds fucked up, but we have attorneys. Anyway, so it's foreclosure. Well, we didn't foreclose, but we're dealing with it. So, as I always told you, keeping it 100. And why would I tell you something like that? And why would I want you to listen to me when I'm not a billionaire yet? Well, I'd rather you come up together. I'd rather you know where I came from. So, when I get there, and when we get there, we could talk about this stuff together and help the next man get out of it. Anyway, so I worried so much that I caused anxiety. The other day I was worrying, and I just started looking at all the pattern of worry, and I was like, man, what do you worry about? So I'm asking you the question, my audience. What do you worry about? Are you worried about bills? Are you worried about finances? Are you worried about who's going to pay for what? Usually money is the number one reason to worry, because think about it. If we can afford our houses and our car notes and all of their clothes and take our ladies out or take our men out or whatever we're doing, we really don't have any problems. Are we worried about health? Now that's something to worry about, because once you don't have your health, you definitely ain't got no wealth. So if you're worried about health, I haven't been there, but I know some people that have, and they even tell me worry is not that good. Worry is not good. But what do you worry about? I'm assuming that most of us are worrying about we didn't make it yet. We don't have enough money. We can't afford something. Rent's due. Mortgage is back. They're about to repo the car. Child support. Can't pay for college. Can't go to college. Stole something, need to put it back. Coveted something, need to put it back. Took too much money out, too much credit. I don't know, whatever it is that you're worrying about. Here's the thing. I've asked God plenty of times, what is the solution to worry? And I had to just wait for it. And I always told you guys, abundance like snow, abundance like rain, abundance like a tree blooming or blossoming in the winter. And then it hit me and got more clarity. Work. And work should not be defined as something bad. Work. Like agricultural work, like tilling the soil, reaping what you sow. Going back to that old biblical statement, reaping what you sow. You will reap what you sow. You won't have to worry about finances if you work. Now, today, it rained really hard in New York. Really hard. I mean, there was rivers on both sides of the street. Places were getting, puddles and floods, temporary floods, but it was a lot. And it was a lot in a little bit of time. And I've always told people that I meet when people have issues, I always say to them, you need and I need to produce in abundance. And if we produce in abundance, then we get a tree that blossoms, or a tree that gives shade. We get rain that cleanses the street, waters the plants. We get plenty. We get enough. We get an overabundance. Be fruitful and multiply. Isn't that what it said in the scriptures? In the first couple of chapters, be fruitful and multiply. Work and multiply. If you work enough, you won't have to worry, or at least worry about the financial things, getting past that threshold, critical mass, of being able to take care of your bills and take care of your wants. There's a lot of people that, like to pride themselves on, I took care of my needs and I did this and I did that. Yeah, but you know what? That ain't living. That's just live in for the day. Shit, fuck that. Let's live. Let's thrive. Lady Ariana Huffington is really trying her best to do everything she can to let us know that we need to thrive. Who just wants to pay their bills? I mean, yeah, you can get to go to sleep, you can wake up, but if you can't buy some new clothes, if you can't buy some new shoes, now let's take a step here. Some of you be like, oh man, that's material. I've been hearing that for all my life. That's material. That's material. Man, my wife, she just wants a whole bunch of stuff, man. She just wants materialistic things. Yeah, so what? Or my daughter or my son, they just want materialistic things. Okay, so you give them a house, you give them some food, you give them some clothes, and they just supposed to be happy with that? Let's think about that for a minute. Let's say that again. You give them some clothes, you give them some food, you give them a shelter. Let's add something else. Water and some heat. And they're supposed to be happy with just that. So this complex human being that has a brain can feel, see, do, jump, run, smell, hear, touch, is just supposed to be happy with food, clothes, shelter, and heat and water. Oh, okay, let's throw something else in there. A toilet. No, they're not. Because if there's flowers that are purple, yellow, white, green, blue, pink, that's not necessary. But why is it here? To make you happy. If there's oceans, rivers, ponds, and streams, and inside those oceans, rivers, ponds, and streams, there are things that will make you happy, like food to eat, fish to look at, just beautiful things going on, including the predators of the sea. You could say that's not necessary. If you look at Mars and you say that Mars is a planet that's desolate and there's nothing going on, if you could live in that atmosphere of food, clothes, and shelter and heat, then Mars is a perfect planet. But why isn't it? So I looked at that whole thing of just supply your needs. We gotta stop, especially men. Men gotta stop telling their wives, I put heat in the house, a roof over you, I gave you a car, and I gave you some clothes, and you take care of the rest because I'm done. This is all I got to do. That's called a lazy motherfucker. Simple as that. That's just laziness, and he doesn't want to use his capacity. And he probably was told by his father and some other stupid people that he didn't need to do anything more than that because the rest of that stuff was material. So why would God give us the ability to create a phone, a car, a plane, a boat, and anything we can imagine, music, TV, stories, all of this extra stuff that's just a want that we really don't need, baskets, boxes, And you like baskets, boxes? Yeah, live in this world without a basket or a box and call me. Live in this world without a bag. Rugs, sofa. Live in this world without a sofa. Yeah, you come home from a hard day's work and you look at your sofa and see you don't start complaining. All of these things that they call luxuries, which I'm starting to think they may not be so luxury or luxurious. They might just be standards of living. We got to get to the point where we stop telling ourselves that it's just material. Now, if you have these things in overabundance, then yeah, maybe that is material. But if you don't even have that, if your mind is still focused on these wants, then something ain't right. Simple as that. Something ain't right because you ain't happy. And happy, you would say, is a necessity. So if the necessity of happiness is tied to your wants more than your needs, then aren't your wants needs? Isn't that material? Not just material, but a sign of abundance? A sign of significance? Now, Tony Robbins, I like that dude. Some of you don't. I don't care. But let's take what we can take from him. He said one of the 6 major needs is significance. And if you look at it, you could look at it in a way of, that's just, he just needs to feel important. Well, guess what, buddy? Even feeling important is directly related to making you happy. Now, what does all of this stuff got to do with worry and work? I'm going to show you. We got to get to the point where we stop saying that having a pretty dress is material. Having the ability to go to a hotel a couple of weekends out of the year to relax and to feel special is material, or is not a necessity, or we can't cut it right now. It's not something that we put in the needs column. Because think about it. Most of us go to work to fulfill our needs. So you may get a job that's paying you just a little bit, but you can pay for your needs. Why don't you start getting a job or an occupation or a career or a business that can take care of your needs and your happiness? Maybe we should stop calling it wants and call it contributors to our happiness, or things that relate to us being happy. Because you know what? I'm happy when I have a house. But once I have that house and there's nothing in it, no woman, no kids, no TV, I ain't that happy. And so I go back out and I work and I get a TV. I go and fix myself up and act right and get intelligent and go get a woman, etc., etc., etc. So, what does that have to do with worrying and work? Well, guess what? If you don't have these things, or these things are not working in your house, your car broke down, your TV don't work, or your table is getting messed up, or your sofa's getting old, or your bed is worn out, or you're not in the house or the home that you need to be in because you can't make noise because of the neighbors, or it's just too noisy, you ain't happy, and therefore you're going to start to worry. Because if you go on vacation and you come back home to that house that you really don't like, it's going to worry you. So what do? We work. We got to stop saying that we're not ready to work. So if we are going to spend the time looking at all of these gurus, people that made it, even people that we don't like, you may not like Donald J. Trump. You may like Donald J. Trump. But one thing he did, he worked. He may not have worked the way you would, approve of, but he worked. Same thing for Jay-Z. Same thing for countless and countless people. Prince, Michael Jackson, Martin Luther King, Abraham Lincoln, all of these people's authors, doctors, people that have done so much in this world, they have done one thing, and they have gotten to work. So if you are worried, work is the antidote for worry. You have to get to the point where you understand that you have to work, and not work in a bad sense. You got to work in a good sense. You got to understand, okay, if I put in the work, if I put in an abundance of work, if I put in an abundance of exercise of producing something that will actually get me to the point where that production becomes monetized, then I don't have to worry. so much anymore. And that's a lesson that I had to learn. It's a lesson that I think all of us got to learn, is that sometimes we just got to understand that we haven't worked enough. We think we did. We may have physically worked, but why don't we stop counting the amount of hours that we put in and start counting the amount of product or services that we completed? And that will tell us if we worked. So if you did 8 hours of work, but you only produced one thing, depending upon what that one thing is, will depend upon how you can monetize that one thing or that one service. But if you created 20 things in 1 hour, or you did 20 services in that 1 hour, maybe, I'm quite sure, as long as those things were effective products or services that could lead to abundance. So if product leads to a sale and service leads to a sale, and you did 20 of them in 1 hour, then you worked. As opposed to the guy that did 8 hours of work, that did one thing or one product. Depending upon what he did, hopefully that one thing led up to it. In short, when you say I worked, there's an equation. I guess we're going to have to write this equation together. What did you produce? What service did you perform? And did that product or service lead to a result? And that result could either be a monetary result or a result that leads you closer to your goal or a certain step that you need to get to. Now, you could work all day, or you could work less. You could have a day where you did a lot of hours of nothing, where you just was doing stuff. They call that busy work. Or you could work a lot of hours and just results happen. That's why you should have a results-oriented mind frame. Wake up in the morning. What's the result that I need to get today? What is that result? You could also say to yourself, okay, so I worked today, but was that a lot of setup for something that's going to happen down the line? It can get deeper. So you can say a lot of this stuff was just setup work for long term, but you have to make sure you watch how many times a week or day you're setting yourself up for something in the long term, because you got to make sure you get the critical mass. And that's something I had to learn. And unfortunately, I had to learn it in real time when people are affected. And that is the reason why you have to understand that worry is killed by work. If you work and work in abundance, some people don't like the words hard work, but if you work in abundance, you may just get an abundance of results that can be monetized, an abundance of results that you can take that monetized result and make people happy. You can take that monetized result and save up, buy a house. You can take that monetized result and do whatever you want. Because one thing, I was talking to somebody that real close to me the other day, and I had to say this thing, and I'm going to leave you guys with this, especially the guys. And I'm going to start with me. Yeah, I'm Michael Jackson. I'm looking at the man in the mirror. But I'm going to start with me. When are we, guys included, and I guess this applies to all guys no matter what, when are we going to get to the point where we just make our families abundantly happy, instead of worrying about all these principles, all these rules, regulations, and all this crazy stuff that we come up with, these standards, and just make ourselves and our families abundantly happy? I think God does that every single day, because He could have made us pay up every time we made a mistake, but He gives us a shot every day. And there's something else that I think we should kill today, which I know some people have talked about, but I'm going to kill it right now. That stupid rule of opportunity comes once in a lifetime. That is the dumbest thing that anybody's ever said in their life. Opportunity comes all day long. So many times a day. Maybe that opportunity is not going to come, but I guarantee if you needed the opportunity to be a garbage man, that opportunity will come along again. It may not be the time that you want, but the opportunity will come. If you need an opportunity to get a job, if you need an opportunity to create a picture or produce something, that opportunity will always come again. Opportunity is in abundance. When God created this world, Buddha, Allah, whatever you believe in, or whatever you don't believe in, just look at the universe. There's an overabundance of opportunity. So anyway, this is the Christopher Complex. This one's about, if you're worrying, get to work. I'm telling you something I have to tell myself every day. I tell family, don't worry, work. So anyway, hit me up at the Chris Complex on Twitter, and we'll talk about it. Don't worry, work.